My name is Holly Great. I'm 32 years old, and the moment everything changed, I was sitting alone in my car in a grocery store parking lot, staring at a message that made my hands shake. But that's not where this really started. It started years ago, in a house where I learned how to be invisible. I'm the middle child, not the impressive one like my older sister, Sabrina, who went to an Ivy League school, became a lawyer, and married a man in finance who always seemed to arrive with perfect timing and expensive gifts. Not the lovable one, like my younger brother Ethan, who somehow turned every mistake into something forgivable with a crooked smile and a quiet, "I'll fix it." And then there was me. I wasn't the problem. I wasn't exceptional. I was useful. You could feel it in every room we stood in together. The way my parents leaned towards Sabrina, like her voice carried weight. The way they softened around Ethan, like he needed protecting. And me? I was the one they called when something broke. Taxes, paperwork, emergencies. I became the solution before I ever got to be the daughter. When Sabrina graduated law school, my parents hosted a party that felt more like a ceremony than a celebration. Catered food, speeches, a photographer capturing every proud angle of her life. I remember standing near the back, holding a glass I never finished, watching my mom's face glow in a way I'd never seen directed at me. When I graduated, my mom made lasagna. My dad shook my hand. "Proud of you, Holly." And that was enough, or at least that's what I told myself. So I built a life that didn't depend on them. I became a project manager at a tech company. Good salary, steady growth, something I could quietly be proud of. I had my own apartment, my own routines, my own carefully constructed independence, but I never stopped showing up for them. When my mom needed help after surgery, I drove 3 hours and reorganized her entire house. When my dad got lost in tax forms, I stayed up nights figuring everything out. When Ethan got arrested for a DUI, something no one even told me until it was already spiraling, I stepped in and handled it. Not Sabrina, not Ethan, me. And nobody said thank you, not once. It wasn't loud neglect, it was quieter than that. It was the way my mom called me only when she needed something, then hung up before asking how I was. The way my dad forgot my birthday but never forgot theirs. Small things. Until they weren't small anymore. By the time I turned 32, I told myself I had accepted it, that this was just how things were. I was wrong. Because 2 years ago, my parents sat me down at their dining table with a spreadsheet. My mom had made charts, color-coded, organized, almost hopeful. "We've been thinking about retiring early," she said, her voice careful, almost rehearsed. "But we're a little short." I scanned the numbers. My mind did the math instantly. $15,000 a month, $180,000 a year. Gone. I looked up slowly. "That's a lot." "It wouldn't be forever," she said quickly. "Just until Social Security kicks in. 5, maybe 6 years. $1 million of my life." And then I noticed Sabrina sitting right there, calm, composed, her fingers wrapped neatly around a glass of water. Successful, married, comfortable. And they weren't asking her. They were asking me, like it had already been decided. I wanted to say no. I wanted to push my chair back, stand up, and finally choose myself. Instead, I heard my own voice asking questions. "Have you talked to a financial advisor?" Helpful, responsible, predictable. My mom's expression shifted just slightly. "We're your parents, Holly." That was it. That was the answer. I didn't say yes outright. I said, "Let me think about it." But we both knew what that meant. A week later, I set up the transfers. $15,000 every month, like clockwork. At first, I told myself it was temporary, that it was the right thing to do, that this was what good daughters did. But months turned into a year, then another. I stopped saving, stopped planning, stopped imagining anything beyond the next transfer leaving my account. Every decision I made carried that quiet weight. Because my life wasn't entirely mine anymore. And the strangest part, they never acknowledged it. Not when they traveled. Not when they upgraded things. Not even casually. No thank you. Just expectation. Like this was who I was. Like this was all I was meant to be. And I kept going. Because some part of me still believed, if I just gave enough, if I just proved myself enough, one day they'd finally see me. They didn't. And I had no idea yet just how much that belief was about to cost me. For 2 years, I watched my life drain out of my bank account in neat, predictable transfers. $15,000, gone before I could even pretend it didn't matter. I told myself it was temporary, that it meant something, that one day they'd look at me differently. They didn't. What changed wasn't them. It was me. Slowly, quietly, unraveling in ways I didn't even notice until it was too late. The breaking point didn't come all at once. It never does. It came in pieces. The first crack was Sabrina's baby shower. My parents went all out. Professional decorations, catered food, champagne. The kind of event that felt more like a magazine spread than a family gathering. I stood there holding a gift I'd carefully chosen, listening to people praise Sabrina, watching my mom beam like she had personally built her perfect life. At one point, my mom pulled me aside, her fingers lightly gripping my arm. "I know this is expensive," she said softly, almost conspiratorially, "but she's our oldest. This is important." I just stared at her. My chest felt tight, like something inside me was pressing outward, demanding to be acknowledged. "You understand, right?" she added, not asking, just reminding me where I stood. "Of course," I said. But something inside me shifted. 3 months later, it finally broke. Sunday dinner, same table, same routine I'd followed for years, even when it stopped feeling like home. My mom had cooked everything I loved. Roast chicken, her salad, the warm rolls she knew I couldn't resist. For a moment, I thought maybe tonight would be different. Maybe we'd just be normal. Then my dad casually mentioned it. "We booked a trip," he said, scrolling through his phone like it was nothing. 2 weeks in Italy. Italy. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. "That sounds nice," I said carefully, the words tasting strange. My mom smiled, almost dreamy. "We've always wanted to go. We figured, why wait? Life's too short." Something inside me snapped. "With what money?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. Silence, immediate, heavy. My mom's expression hardened. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said, my voice shaking now. "With what money? I'm sending you $15,000 a month and you're booking luxury vacations?" My dad set his fork down slowly, like he was preparing to explain something simple to a child. "Your mother and I have been saving for this." "You're living off my money," I said, louder now. "You told me you couldn't afford to retire, and now you're flying first class to Italy?" For a split second I saw it, something flicker across their faces. Guilt, maybe even shame. But it disappeared just as quickly. "We sacrificed so much for you kids," my mom said, her voice tightening, defensive. I laughed, but it came out wrong. Sharp, almost hollow. "You sacrificed? I've been paying your bills. I've been giving you almost $200,000 a year. I can't even save for my own life." "You're being dramatic," my dad cut in. That word, dramatic. Something inside me collapsed. I stood up without realizing it, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Dramatic? I've given you everything for 2 years. I've put my entire life on hold. And I'm dramatic?" "Sit down," my dad said, his voice low, controlled. "No." "Down." I sat, but not because he told me to, because suddenly I felt exhausted, completely, overwhelmingly exhausted. Tears blurred my vision, and I hated that they could see it, hated that I looked weak in front of them again. "We appreciate what you do," my mom said quietly, like she was offering something generous. "No, you don't," I whispered. "We're allowed to enjoy our lives too. With your own money," I said, my voice steadier now. "Not mine." "And it's family money," she replied. "No, it's not. It's mine. I earned it. I gave it to you, and you never even said thank you." Silence stretched across the table. Thick, uncomfortable, final. I looked at them, really looked at them, and for the first time I realized something that made my chest ache in a completely different way. They weren't going to change. "I want to stop," I said quietly. My mom blinked. "Stop what?" "The money," I swallowed. "I'm stopping the transfers. Starting now." My dad's jaw tightened. "You're going to abandon your parents?" "I'm not abandoning anyone," I said. "I'm just done." I stood up again, this time steady, and walked toward the door. My mom's voice followed me, sharper now. "You're being selfish, Holly." I paused, my hand on the doorknob. Slowly, I turned back. "Sabrina has a 6-figure household. Ethan works for your company and makes more than I do. But I'm the selfish one?" My mom didn't answer. She couldn't, because we both knew the truth. "It's different," she said finally, weakly. "How?" Silence. I nodded to myself. "Right. It's different because I'm the one who always says yes." I opened the door. "Not anymore." "Holly, don't you dare walk out." I walked out. The next week felt unreal. No calls, no messages, just silence, stretching longer than I expected, heavier than I was ready for. I kept checking my phone, waiting for something, an apology, a conversation, anything. Nothing came. Until Tuesday morning, the group text. We've decided it's best if you take a step back from the family for a while. We need distance. Please respect our boundaries and stop contacting us." I read it 3 times, my chest tightening with every word. It was from my mom, but I could hear my dad in it. Cold, formal, final. Like I was the problem. Sabrina texted me privately later. "Hey, what's going on with mom and dad?" I told her everything. The money, the dinner, Italy, all of it. There was a pause before she replied. "That's between you and them." That was it. No concern, no surprise, just distance. And in that moment, something inside me went completely still. I didn't reply. For the first time in my life, I didn't explain myself. I didn't defend my choices. I didn't try to be understood. I just let it go. And that was the moment everything started to change. The first month without sending that money felt wrong. Like I'd forgotten something important. Like there was a bill I hadn't paid, a responsibility I'd neglected. I kept opening my banking app out of habit, expecting to see that familiar deduction. $15,000. Gone. Except it wasn't gone anymore. It stayed. And slowly, that feeling of guilt started to shift into something else. Relief. I paid off my car in 2 months. Just like that. I remember sitting in my living room after making the final payment, staring at the confirmation screen, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Light. Like I could finally breathe without something pressing on my chest. Then I did something I hadn't allowed myself to even think about before. I started planning my own future. Not theirs, not ours, mine. I put a down payment on a house. A small one, nothing extravagant, but it was mine. Every corner, every wall, every decision, mine. I remember standing in the empty living room the first day I got the keys, sunlight coming through the windows, and thinking, this is what my life was supposed to feel like. I booked a trip to Iceland, alone, something I'd been quietly dreaming about for years, but always pushed aside because there was never room for it. I stood there under the northern lights, cold air biting at my skin, and for the first time in a long time, I felt present, not needed, not useful, just there. And the strangest part? I didn't miss them. That realization hit me slowly, then all at once. I kept waiting for the ache, for the pull back toward them, for that familiar need to fix things. It didn't come. What came instead was peace. Quiet, steady, unfamiliar peace. Until November. Ethan texted me. "Hey, I need help. Can you send me some money? It's kind of urgent." No apology, no acknowledgement, just expectation. I stared at the message for a long time, my thumb hovering over the screen. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have hesitated. I would have already been transferring the money, already solving the problem before he even finished explaining it. This time I didn't respond. I set my phone down and walked away. A few weeks later, my mom sent an email. Subject line, "Let's talk." I opened it. Read it once. It was careful, measured, almost polite. But there was something missing. No accountability. No real acknowledgement of what had happened. Just a quiet expectation that I would come back, fall back into place, resume the role I'd always played. I archived it. My dad never reached out. And somehow that hurt more than anything else. Not the anger, not the silence. Just nothing. Like I didn't exist unless I was useful. But even that didn't break me the way it used to. Because somewhere along the way, something inside me had changed. Therapy helped, a lot more than I expected. Sitting in that room, week after week, saying things out loud that I'd spent years pushing down, it forced me to see patterns I didn't want to see. I wasn't just helping my family. I was managing them, their emotions, their expectations, their lives. If they were stressed, I fixed it. If they were struggling, I stepped in. If they were disappointed, I took it personally. That wasn't love. That was exhaustion. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. So yeah, I'm not part of my family anymore. Not in the way I used to be. I'm not the reliable middle child who quietly holds everything together. I'm not the one who sacrifices without question. I'm not the solution. I'm just me. And for the first time, that feels like enough. Do I still get angry sometimes? Yes. There are moments, random, quiet moments, where something will remind me of them, and I'll feel that old ache creep back in. I think about birthdays I spent unnoticed, about dinners where I sat there, waiting to be seen, about all the ways I tried to earn something that was never going to be given freely. And sometimes I wonder, could I have done things differently? Maybe. But then I remember something my therapist said that stuck with me. You're not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. That realization didn't come easily. It took time. It took a lot of uncomfortable truths. But once it settled in, everything else started to make sense. I wasn't selfish for choosing myself. I was just late. Late to my own life. Late to understanding that love isn't supposed to feel like a transaction. Late to realizing that being needed isn't the same as being valued. Now my life is quieter. Holidays are different, sometimes lonely. There are moments where I feel the absence of what I thought I had. But I don't feel that constant weight anymore, that quiet pressure of never being enough, of always having to prove my worth through what I could give. And honestly, that trade feels worth it. I'm not waiting for an apology anymore. I'm not holding on to the idea that one day they'll wake up and finally see me. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But I'm not pausing my life for that possibility. I'm building something real now, something that belongs to me. And for the first time, I don't feel invisible. I feel free.